All right, Jason, we're back again with Fred Reap. We're here in the JConcepts garage talking monster trucks, one of our favorite topics here and one of the more popular ones. But Fred, recently we hit up the Solid Axle Showdown and talk to us about going to this event. You drove up with Rich. You've been doing this for many years now, and then just kind of getting up there and setting up.
Yeah, Marlon and Raphael Cox, there's the Showdown 7, I believe. And it's just, those two, they have such passion for these monster trucks and really great crew. And, the degree of this event has been growing every year. It's been happening, over 400 trucks, which is just massive at one of these events. 4 days to do it, and they got it done. A super crew that they had Charles and they had Frank in there. Frank trying to run a tight ship with, getting everybody set up and situated the way they need to be. And, great job to all those guys.
I mean, one of the things that's kind of unique and fun about an event like this is they kind of take their time to really incorporate sort of a lot of things, I guess you could say, that were, popular in the 80s and 90s and things that were fun toys. And it kind of, there's some reminiscing that goes on, I feel like, with the program in a sense, between the music that they're running during the event. We have a show and shine with all the vehicles, and then we have some special giveaways and raffles, and then we have these they had a special event where they had the wind-up toy from back in the day with Evil Knievel. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of kind of reminiscing, I think, that goes on at an event like this.
Yeah, they do a lot of production work with music and all that stuff, and just they're really passionate about it. So they want to make it and put on a show, hence Showtime. And they have this format they go along to, and just they put in the stunt show with the motorcycle and do a raffle with that, and it's a really nice produced event.
So we set up this track. You guys got in the building. Track's set up, booth is set up. We're there. We start kind of bringing out some of the new things. Mm-hmm. We obviously built up a truck. You built up a freestyle Rapid X for me for the event. We put a cruiser body on it,
right?
And we did some different things. Of course, we got my normal trucks. I like to fall back on the Bigfoot 4 Louisville, the regulator chassis setup.
Right.
We got in front of us, we got the BF power truck here. Those are my competition rides. But from your perspective, we start this program after everything is set up. We get into the tanks, the Young Guns, the LMT, the 2.2. We got a big list of classes there. The track changes a little bit depending on the vehicles, but sometimes the mud pit is in, sometimes the mud pit is out.
Right.
Talk to us about just maybe the difficulty in keeping up with the track, and the track is challenging.
Yeah, the track is definitely challenging. Those guys, especially for retro, they call it the equalizer, one of the mud pits, because they put that at the end. You could be super fast and really have that track down pat, but once you come to that equalizer mud pit, it's going to throw you one way or the other or flip you upside down, and it's really difficult. And they change it up for each class, so not everybody's running the same thing over and over and over again. It's a fresh take on every class, basically.
So, kind of going through some of the results here, they start off with the tank class. Ernest Liptrap, he ended up winning there. He's got a custom truck. He's a machinist by trade, I believe, mm-hmm. And I mean, all of his trucks are really, really nice, and he's got a really nice tank that he runs with out there and runs with the Showtime crew a lot. But I mean, you can just tell driving those tanks, it's not easy.
Yeah, it's not easy, and the development, some of these. That's what's fun about this hobby is just it's very competitive, but yet the creativity on the driver's side is amazing. I mean, it's not like an off-road. Off-road used to be like that, way back in the 80s and 90s when people would come out and you'll see, super trick parts that you won't be able to normally get. These guys are doing that now on these monster trucks, and they're doing pretty well at it.
Yeah, what I say is this event is also a builder's event.
Yeah.
It's not just a racing event, these monster trucks and other classes. It's a builder's event. It's people that are passionate about building the vehicles as much as they are about driving them. And sometimes they're even more passionate about building it than they are about actually racing it. And you see it out there with the different vehicles. You have everyone's take on what they want as a chassis setup. You have, of course, you have the mainstays, the ones that are available more worldwide or nationally, but then you have the drivers that take it to that next level of they want to make it their own, and they have the wherewithal and the skills to build it.
Yeah, and then when they do well with it on something that they created with their own hands and own imagination, it makes it all that much sweeter to them too.
And one of the classes that we have some product for that we kind of enjoy is also the 2.2 class, which is something kind of started because of the Axial truck in a sense. The Axial SMT10 came with 2.2 inch wheels and that type tire. They kind of created a class just for 2.2s. Now we got the Renegades, the Fling Kings in that particular class, and essentially you can take your Pro Mod and you can just change the wheels and tires, and you're right out in a full group of class. And I believe they had over 70 entries just in the 2.2.
Yeah, that's what's really nice about those classes. You have Mega Truck and you have the 2.2. You actually can use one truck and essentially run 3 other classes, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, so again, Sonny, another big win.
Yeah.
He's one of the dominators out on the circuit, winning a lot of these races. Of course, again, does a nice job in the 2.2 class. So one of the other events that we wanted to touch on was the new 1/24th scale monster trucks. And this is kind of a little different because all these other classes are similar scales or a similar vehicle, but we get into these little mini guys, and this is like a whole new generation of racers we could get here. And all it's going to take is that one truck to hit the market that's readily available, the right price point, and this will explode.
Right. Yeah, this is a class now that's essentially built by the racers. You have to have your imagination to actually have one of these things.
Yeah.
SCX 24 axial truck, and then you buy a 3D printed. One of the guys out there, they produce their own or somebody makes their own chassis, and you put the appropriate tires and wheels on it. But yeah, this is going to be another big class in the future.
Yeah, we've seen some of the other ones. The Furatech, I believe, is the name of the other truck that's out there that you can buy. That's kind of another chassis that's 24th scale, and guys are using some of the bodies that we already make for the SCX 24. They're using those on these, and they also are using different model bodies, and right now it's another builders class.
Yeah, it's another builders class. Again, the whole array is open there, with the different bodies that are available, the 124 scale models. I'm seeing some Monster Jam bodies on them, some of the AMT Ford bodies as well. So yeah, whatever you can think up in your mind and your imagination, you could probably build it in that scale.
So, one of the things that we did, we'll kind of drop in a product that we showed here is during the event last year, we kind of, saw this 124 thing coming. We decided, we're like, hey, we're going to get on this with and produce a Renegades tire and a Golden Year tire for the 24th scale. Of course, it needs a wheel, a mini tribute, but Fred talked to us about, working on this project, and, it's not just scaling down something that you already have. We got to work from scratch again on this wheel, this tire, and to make it work for the little trucks.
Yeah, and it's hard to predict exactly how the class is going to go and then what machine they're actually going to be using, but we basically went with that SCX 24 platform, designed the hex pattern for it. And, the main thing is that, the wheels that are available and basically out of a model kit, they kind of look like a miniature LMT. It's got the, the offset type look, it has a bigger inside diameter wheel to the outside. We wanted to make that symmetrical so it looked more scale and the tire performed a little better. So, it was a bit tricky to make all that work, but we got the offset right on the wheel, and then we have these nice caps that you can interchange and bolt up in there, so it actually looks like a scale piece.
Yeah, we had the luxury of working with several of our drivers and several of our dedicated people we've met, like Michael McKenzie, who he was able to take some of these tires and wheels we got. he was showing me his Nightmare body that he was detailing up and painting, and he put these tires and wheels under there, and I mean, it just looks amazing.
Yeah, and it gives it that nice traction that it needs. The plastic from a model kit, it doesn't really have the traction, but yeah, you can really lay down some passes with the JConcepts stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, the idea is here we're going to get those out in the next couple months. And what we really hope is anything that we're speaking of, that it's out before that next large race that that we're going to be attending in October. So that's the whole goal, by having this solid showdown event and showing some of these new products, is it's something to look forward to that next large event.
Yeah, just hopping from event to event, we like to just drop Easter eggs or a new product when we can. It's really tough sometimes to get the timing quite right, but that's definitely the goal.
So as far as the racing, we kind of move into the next day. Pro Modifieds finally get to kind of kick off, and we kick off that class, and biggest field of drivers. We had almost 150, I believe it was 147 Pro Mod trucks. And you've ran a lot of these events, and we had to qualify 147 drivers, one in each lane. And from your experience running these trucks, it's not easy getting that done.
Yeah, it's not easy, and you got to always try and develop a way to get these guys qualified. I think one of our events, one of the records was 100 drivers in an hour. We were able to qualify. I think that's kind of like the ultimate goal that you want to try and stick to. Because it takes a lot of hours just to try and get these events done, and then when you start going through the brackets, once you qualify 100, that's an hour, and then you got to do eliminations. First round, that's another hour because you still have your full stack of drivers there, and then it quickly breaks down because you're cutting things in half. But yeah, it's really tough to plan in your race management to do an event that big.
So when it really kind of took us through the end part of one day and into the next day to get them all qualified. But at the end we got to they posted the sheets. We had, once again, the main man out there, Sonny Santucci, was the TQ with his Virginia Giant truck, and I guess my claim to fame for that weekend was I qualified second with the BF Power truck, which we were, I want to say, 16 thousandths of a second apart. Yeah. And so you can just see how close it is when we're doing 7-second laps, 8-second laps. It's the smallest bit.
Yeah, and any little hiccup can cost you in a race.
I believe someone told me that the difference in the entire B bracket was like 0.6 of a second.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Made up the whole B bracket was 0.6 of a second. So you can see how quickly or how easily you can be hero to zero.
Right, hero to zero, and it's just like drag racing. That thousandth of a second can cost you.
Yeah, and that's the thing about this form of RC is, at any moment, you can be taken out by just about anybody. Not side by side. It's just they can get you on any given moment because the smallest little mistake, they can take the win.
Right. There's just not enough time to make it up. It's just, again, it's like, you're drag racing. A thousandth of a second can do it. Any little bobble, if you just slide a turn, you're making a nice clean pass, but you just slide the turn a little bit, and that other guy has the better forward momentum on you. He's going to get you.
So, in the end, we got down there to the end. I made it personally to the last eight trucks, the quarterfinals. Jaden Doyle, he ended up beating me in that quarterfinals. He advanced, won a couple more races, and he finally got that championship he's been looking for. He mentioned he's been running the race since he's been 9 years old,
yeah.
And he's run every one of them, all 7 showdowns, and this is his first Pro Mod title.
Yeah, first Pro Mod title for him, and he's been wanting it for a long time. I know he's attended a lot of these bigger events, and he's always podiumed, in the top 3 or if not better.
Yeah, so we had a good final. Obviously you can have multiple trucks. Mm-hmm. Everyone's running multiple trucks out there, but in the end, you can get it done with one. All you got to do is have one in it to
right.
win it, and everyone kind of eliminates them down, as it gets closer to that final. But we had Kyle Defalco, who you're really familiar with, doing all the races in the New York, Connecticut area.
Mm-hmm.
He came in and he ended up getting second place in the finals. Jaden got him, but it was actually a good final right to the finish.
Yeah, right to the end. And, you know, again, another guy that's been doing it probably since he was 9 years old, if not more. The Defalco brothers, you know, they always feed off of each other, so they have that good, you know, family rivalry going on there. So real competitive against each other when it comes to racing. That's what helps, you know, develop good drivers in this stuff. You gotta want to be competitive, and again, if you have somebody in the family that does it, you know, it's great. It makes you a better driver.
So going over the product kind of here in the final, you know, that Jaden was using, we were using the Renegades tires, the gold compound. Usually one of the harder inserts on the market. That's what guys usually run in the tires at a competition like that when you go from either the carpet to concrete. That was the situation here where they had strips of carpet. We had corners that were in concrete. So it took the balance of the harder gold compound with the harder inside inserts that have been so popular in this racing, and it also got us the opportunity to test some of our new closed cell inserts in our tires. We're calling the Slam Tech inserts. They're white in color, but really a nice piece, fit inside the tire really nice, and you know, you got a first-hand experience. You know, it's not easy assembling the hard inserts in these tires,
right,
because of the size of the wheel and the opening, but you know, you put these things together. I ran them and drove them, and in this particular truck, and talk to us about putting those together and just kind of seeing the construction of that style insert.
Yeah, it's nice. I actually kind of like when the tire and the foam insert kind of conform to the tire itself. You know, we've tried different versions, a harder one and a softer one. A lot of the guys like a little more give into it, so the carcass moves a little bit. You don't want, you know, a softer insert on the harder, you know, pavement or carpet or pig mat. That's what we ran on. But yeah, just a little bit softer to the material. Again, it's still hard to get into the tire, but once it's in there and you glue it all up nice, you vent the tire so the air can escape. It makes for a really great running, handling piece.
So, you know, kind of winding up there, I mean, I think both drivers between, you know, Jaden and Kyle, you know, we're running the Renegades there. But, you know, kind of going back a little bit, since this event was going on, we had the opportunity to do some tire testing. We got 2 new tires we showed there, which again we're shooting for by the next event in October to have all this available. But we have the Runner and the Racer tire now, which is kind of another take on a 90s style tire that was used so popular in those days.
Right.
And Freddie, you kind of put these together, helped us glue them up. We changed them out on the track. We did some testing, and we're, you know, for me, I feel like I've been testing tires my whole life, because that's probably true. But, you know, again, I'm out here running monster trucks, and we're trying tires or swapping them around and trying to get a feel for either the new ones or just what the balance is like when you change the tread front to back.
Right. You know, and different surfaces require different, you know, traction and the way the truck pulls through a turn. Sometimes you got to, you know, put a little more traction in the front, take away a little bit in the back. I know we kind of had these swapped around. The truck really looked cool. You know, you got it, and it was more like a front-wheel drive action where the front end was pulling the truck through the turn. You can kind of sweep and get the rear end around. Made it a little quicker. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot of testing. It's going to throw a whole new mix into these drivers. They're going to want to get these tires. They're going to want to practice. And, you know, they'll end up ultimately tuning it, you know, their package out with this. But, you know, again, with the Renegades and these new racers, they're going to be probably a neck-and-neck type tire. You know, the look of this tire is, you know, really impressive with the cut designs on it. I call it the Lonnie cut because he ran a tire just like that on Bigfoot 10 back in the day, even on the front. You know, those guys were in charge of cutting each other's tires back then, so it's pretty awesome.
One class that we wanted to get on here was the retro class.
Yeah.
You know, these are our favorite little retro trucks. Of course, the Regulator. Probably, I want to say it was the second biggest class of the weekend. I want to say they had 80 in the retro class, and you were allowed 3 trucks each in that one. And coming all the way through the field, you know, and coming to his first showdown, I believe, was Kyle Defalco, and he took the win with Carolina Crusher. He actually took me out in I believe it was again the round of 8. 8 trucks left. He got me with the Carolina Crusher, but between Josh Zimmerman and Jaden Doyle was in there. We had just Matt Stoltz, who was a 3-time winner, I believe, in that class, and he swept last year. It's a stacked field. The hardest track to drive because of, like we talked about earlier, the mud pits and all the different obstacles. But Kyle came in. He stayed really calm, cool, collected, and Josh made a little mistake in the mud pit, and Kyle took the win with his Carolina Crusher.
Yeah, that grid equalizer, that final mud pit, it'll get you. If you don't hit it quite square, these things tendency to diff out a little bit, and the truck will pull a certain way. And if you get crossed up in that mud pit, you're done. But once you get it, straight through run, you're really a lot of throttle control, because if you give it a little too much, it's going to flip you backwards.
Yeah. I mean, there was a big contingent out there from Kyle's series that he runs. And, obviously we had, as we mentioned before, we got Kyle, and we had Michael McKenzie, and we have Pete, and we have Sierra Maimone. We have a big group of racers coming from his racing and his series, competing in all these classes, but they were loaded in the retro class.
Yeah, and they're all tough to beat. I mean, just hands down. I mean, if you didn't make it in the top 12, that still didn't mean you were a slouch. I mean, there was a lot of competitive drivers in that class, and it's fun.
So, kind of like we talked about in Pro Mod, sort of the tire of choice. Again, we went with the gold compound for the mix of the concrete and the carpet. We went without the inserts. Fred, the other thing we did is we kind of started off the day with 3 trucks, and with all a little bit of a different setup. We went through practice, and we did some qualifying, and we kind of narrowed down what we thought was our best combination, which was we went with the lightweight truck. They didn't have a weight limit, so we stripped all the brass weight out of the trucks.
Right.
We went with the gold tire, and we went with the single shock on all 4 corners, and we tried to get all the trucks to that setting before we actually had to race. And you got to watch them, you got to pick them as I was qualifying them in terms of how they were driving. But we both kind of called out that the Racer Stripe truck was our better truck in qualifying, and we try to go to that setup.
Right. That's what's nice about the regulator. There's a couple different ways you can set the thing up. You can run it really heavy with all the nice accessories that we have, the brass accessories. We had a dual shock one. We had one with a single shock, but all the weight still in it. And ultimately, in this particular track, the lightweight was the way to go. Mm-hmm. So then we had to go backpedal on the 2 other trucks, to match up with the Racer Stripe version. But that's what's nice about the regulator, that you can, make all these changes to the chassis and not necessarily look at it and say, oh man, you got 50 pounds of weight just servo taped in there. But the regulator, just with those components, and be able to remove them or stack more weights onto the cradle and get that balance just right. It's really cool.
Yeah, it was nice. We tuned, and we're all running the 27 turn motors there. We're running the silent speed, as did Kyle Defalco, who won. We're using the our silent speed motors, and they worked really well. They're consistent. They're the same for everybody. With our combination, and I believe with Kyle's, he was able to kind of gear it up a little bit, so they're a little faster. They don't have the gearing limitation like we do on Trigger King, so the trucks are a little quicker.
Yeah, the transmissions in these things, the Clodbuster transmission has a lot of gear in it, so anytime you can put a bigger pinion in it and make it go a little faster, always helps in a race situation.
The other thing we're able to showcase in this class, which was great, was we got our new light bucket and flag mount set, and our bump stops, and the covers for the lights. We got these shipped up. We got them just packaged. The decals finished up. So we had several drivers that wanted to pick these up from us while we were there. But that's a new item that we just released, and it's perfect for the retro trucks.
Yeah, perfect for the retro trucks. Allison back at the shop, it was kind of a last minute thing, but she was able to get them packed up and shipped to us. So we got the the covers there. You always show up to these things, everybody wants it. So we were able to get some product up there for the guys, and they love it. And they're going to start, the next race, we're going to see all these neat accessories on their trucks.
So 2 more classes to go. We had We had the Ultra Mod, which, as we talked earlier, it's sort of another take on how the truck's chassis and where the shocks can be located, a power thing and a weight thing. And what is your take on the Ultra Mod? You've built two. We put them into the over there at the Monster Truck Hall of Fame.
Right.
But talk to us about the Ultra Mod class and how you saw that one.
Yeah, one actually went to Dan Runty, so
Yeah.
I'm sure he's enjoying that on his shelf. But yeah, the Ultra Mod kind of taking a mix of the shafty truck, what they call them, and actually running it more like a traditional monster truck, putting the shock on the axle. I believe they had a weight limit class in there, which is it's a little tough on these trucks because they're a little more dainty in their construction. But yeah, it's to actually make the truck look a little more that realism type look, and they're super cool. I guess we have motor limits and so on and so forth in there, but the rules depending on each place that you go to. So you go to New York, their rules might be a little more different. So you actually when you go to these events, you got to check on the rules.
So we had Matt Stoltz ended up winning this class. He had his truck he calls a sticker shock, which is kind of a neat concept. Essentially, he just covered the body with stickers, and they're little JConcepts, the ones that would come with our products in the past. He basically covered the entire body with these decals and then put some of our giveaway ones that we include with some shipments right on the doors like we have for several bodies, and kind of a creative concept.
Yeah, creative concept, and at least we know he's buying some product.
He's got the sticker shock covered, and he got a great win in a class that he's kind of recycled this chassis. He's got the green axial SMT chassis. He's got the stock shocks on it mounted on the axle, and with the sticker shock body. But he's gotten a lot of mileage out of that SMT 10 in different classes, and it's been successful all the time.
Yeah, it's a great classic look to the chassis, especially when you can kind of do more of a scalar type suspension setup on it. And yes, I think it's another growing class. I don't think it'll ever be as popular as the Pro Mod, but I could be wrong.
Another one that we'll finish off with here is the Mega Truck, which is something you kind of spearheaded many years ago. Mm-hmm. We obviously worked a lot of Mega Trucks with King Sling, Bog Hog. We got the Fling King tires and the Dragon wheels. But essentially, this class is created around those wheels and tires. It features the mud pits, which they put the packing peanuts in. But Matt Stoltz took another win there, but he got a scare from Sonny Santucci, who made a mistake in the corner and then almost jumped the whole mud pit in one jump and made up all the time, and then it was a drag race to the finish. Yeah,
again, two very fierce competitors. The Mega Trucks has kind of evolved. I think Trigger King kind of played with that class back in the day, but since the Fling Kings and the Dragon Wheels came out, Dennis Anderson getting behind us as far as doing the King Sling body, and Weston with the Bog Hog. This is a class now it's in the monster truck realm, but now it's grown past that. So you're seeing this stuff filter out into the scalar type world, which is going to open up a whole nother door for the Mega Trucks.
So kind of one thing that we wanted to highlight too was where this year's Showdown event was inside this Keystone Truck and Tractor Museum. And I know I made several trips through there. I took as many videos as I could, passed them back to my dad, who's the tractor aficionado, but so getting his take on this place, which I walked around a bunch, you walked around a bunch, you've probably been to as many museums as anybody, but there was some clean stuff in there.
Yeah, the people that are running that museum is just unbelievable. There's not a speck of dust on any of the pieces of equipment in there, and these were pieces of equipment that were meant to get dirty.
Yeah.
So just display cases of die-cast toys and memorabilia and just signage and so on and so forth. But from tractors running the field to tractor trailers even had in the building.
Yeah, I was really impressed with the facility. The area they chose for the track was a lot of fun being in there. The pig mat, or the carpet, I'll call it, with the concrete corners. I enjoy that condition. The pit area, we filled it up with trucks this year, like you said, 400 plus trucks, and that whole Keystone Museum. We had the restaurant in front, it was kind of like an all-inclusive resort for the RC guys.
Yeah, it was really nice. You didn't have to leave the property. You just go run and get your burger, or you put the order in and go pick it up, and then run back and go racing.
So another thing I wanted to just quickly highlight was some of the show and shine show stoppers we had out there. We had, of course, Matt Hall. He likes to kind of roll in. He's got a huge selection of his show stoppers. I think he won 5 different classes in show and shine, and always comes loaded with new trucks every year.
Yeah, every year he's got some kind of showstopper, just constantly building, constantly evolving, and again, what's he going to come up with next? It's just, who knows?
And then, my favorite build that I've seen for quite a while, maybe, ever, could have been this awesome Kong 2 that Morris Ashkenas built.
Yeah.
This truck, he says 3 years in the making. He's got the 12 electric motors in the back to simulate the old Allison aircraft engine that the truck had. And, this was the truck that was in the Return of the Monster Trucks. Of course, got defeated in the finals by a truck that you're familiar with, Bigfoot 4. Mm-hmm. But, that truck itself was kind of a generation timestamp. Like, that truck was very popular. Drove through mobile homes in the video and had tremendous power. And Morris he really detailed this build.
Yeah, Morris, a lot of man hours in that. And just even the vision, the concept, of coming up with, 12 electric motors to go with a 12-cylinder engine. It's pretty remarkable. And he made it fit, and he made the look. He pulled the look off. I mean, it looks super awesome.
Yeah, it was special. I got to drive it. He let me cruise it around. He had it hooked up where you could tilt the bed. Just a couple clicks of the radio switch, and the bed would tilt up. He had a halfway point set. He had a close point set, and just a lot of creative ideas on the truck in general. Has to be one of the best home-built trucks I've ever seen, if not the best. And I kept telling him when he needed to bring it out there and race it, but he was a little hesitant. He did a little car crush, but he said he was going to draw the line at the car crush.
Yeah, I mean, and to do it with an iconic piece, it goes back to the ingenuity back then in monster trucks, where guys were going out in their shop and just creating these Frankenstein type pieces of equipment, and to do that in the RC form with the electric, it was pretty amazing.
It was a builder's game back then.
Mm-hmm.
And, and that's kind of what this event is about. In the monster truck RC side of things, it's a builder's game. And that's what's unique and fun about it. So, Fred, we've kind of alluded to many times, the next upcoming event we got in October. You've been there a bunch. RCMTC World Finals, I believe. That's the next one.
Yeah, up in Connecticut. We're going to make the 18, 20... I'll let you know when I get there.
So it's a drive.
It's a drive.
We get up there at RC Madness, is a place I'm familiar with. We go there all the time for our events, but then you head up there for the monster trucks, and it's a packed. I mean, I think I counted 13 different tracks or crawler courses. He's got it all. Chris Marcy at RC Madness, but the Defalcos will be running the World Finals, and I'm sensing another 300 plus trucks.
Yeah, easily. And changing the game, going from the carpet or the pig mat, and going to dirt.
Yeah. So we're going to get these new racer tires out there. We kept talking about it over the weekend, just that iconic image of the old Penda days of these style tires taken off the starting line, the dirt flying back. Yeah. But we're going to try to replicate that here in the RC world, getting out on that RC Madness dirt.
Yeah, can't wait to see the roofs coming off of these bad boys, and it's going to be great.
All right, well, thanks for joining us again. Like the video, subscribe, check us out on Facebook, Instagram. JConcepts is everywhere. We're traveling. We're trying to do as much as we can, and we appreciate everybody for watching these videos. Stay tuned, and we'll see you next time.